We're back in Photoshop now. Here's my new weapon thing I rendered out in Hypershot. So you can see I have some ground shadows in there again, so this time I'm actually going to paint them out in the alpha channel. Then go in here, select the alpha channel, grab it, and copy and paste it into here, into my other file. Close down the other one. So I'm going to want to put the new weapon thing in the right place underneath the existing robot. So just moving it down in the stack. As you can see, I got some stuff to clean up here. But I think it's going to work pretty well. Definitely going to want to do some adjusting. So here I'm just kind of cleaning up some things. So I think it looks enough like the head. Not too much. I'll do some massaging of the forms for sure, but I think it's going to work. So I'm going to start out with making it a little bit shorter. I think the point was kind of getting in the way. It's a little distracting with the shoulder pads and stuff, so just making it a little bit blunt, making it a little more blunt on the end there. I'm gonna try out getting rid of these kind of insectoid type leg things. See if that works. Looks looking a little bit plain, but just checking it out right now. Just playing a little bit. That's what players do. Players play. Yeah, so this is no longer Hammerhead anymore. I just wanted to see what it looked like, but I don't think it's. I think I'm going to bring that back. But let's go ahead and keep, adding some details in here, some other machinery type things, power generators, pivot points, etc. Just clean up some of the stuff in here. Definitely want to pop out my blue radiator fin things. So let's take a look at it. It's kind of a more simple shield shape on there. Just kind of examining how it looks right now. But I think it's too simple. So here I'm just going to go back and check out another real quick idea. What parts I want to shave off, what parts I want to keep. So I'm thinking I'm going to add this kind of glowing knife edge, whatever, on the end of this thing. So I have another copy of the shield. There you can see I'm keeping the parts of it that I want to keep, the parts I just painted, but bringing back the insect leg things and the hammerhead shape in the front. So I'm just going to go in and just kind of continue to detail things out. It's just right on the layer where the shield is. Clean things up. See, there's kind of some rendering artifacts happening here. Just want to get rid of those. Add some highlights on edges, some panel lines. So I'm just kind of drawing them in manually right now because there's not that much to do, so I'm not like doing my overlay with emboss things. See, I'm just painting right on So I'm going to go ahead and pick a brush that has a little bit of variation in it, because I'm thinking this kind of glowy sword thing, axe thing, whatever it is, it's going to have energy coming off of here. I'm just going to erase some of it away. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Then it'd also be good because I can have that nice bluish green, teal kind of rim light on the right hand side that I wanted. So it's good to have a light source in there. I'll go ahead and go in and paint in some rim lighting here to pop out some of these different shapes. It's really nice when you got a light like this on the side for sure. Just putting lighting on the object itself, on the hand. Just putting the tight highlights, then I'm going back and smoothing things, smudging it. Just a couple little dots inside there where light might bounce around. So it's definitely a good idea to zoom out, put some more of the lighting on things, because a lot of times if you're just only looking at it up close, you oftentimes won't put enough lighting on things. So here I'm decided to go ahead and adjust that finger. The angle was looking a little weird, mixed with the new kind of axe front thing. So I just did a Control Shift copy and paste. So in that section, I'm kind of locking myself into whatever's in the background. But since I think the background's pretty far along, I'm set on it. That's fine. So it just gives it a little bit more, aggressive hand also. So I'm just kind of fixing it so it looks good with the background. I think it's looking pretty cool. So here I'm messing with my rim light, just the saturation and the color of it. A lot of times with my rim lights I'll paint it once and then just duplicate the whole image, the whole rim light. And especially when I zoom out, will work a lot better having it duplicated, twice as strong. So here I went in again and had my overlay layer and I painted down with my brush, with my paint bucket, a pattern that works well for these glow kind of things. And then if you hold, I believe it's Alt and click between two layers, you can have one layer basically only affect that other layer. So instead of going through the trouble of making a layer mask and painting in the alpha, all that stuff to match, I'll have that overlay layer just affect the linear dot, the glow layer below it, so that you can get that kind of fizzly electronic look. So here I'm just using dodge and burn just to massage the lighting a little bit. I want to push those inner parts back a little bit. Some kind of odd lighting on that edge I'm trying to fix. And here I'm just going to add a little bit of detail into this inner part, some panel lines. Pretty subtle stuff, but it's just kind of empty back in there. Just cleaning things up. trying to match up the geometry on the other side. Since I painted over some parts, it doesn't really make as much sense anymore, so I want to make sure it matches. Looks symmetrical inside there, since most of it's symmetrical. So here I'm using my shapes again, just to add some details, but I don't know, it wasn't looking that hot, so I just undid it. So you can see how I have quite a few layers now. So it's really nice to be able to go back and go to the layer that I want to go to. So I'm just adding a little bit more glows in here on my layer where I have the pattern set up as an overlay over the linear dodge. So it has that kind of, like I said, the kind of electronic fizzle around it. It's kind of energy looking stuff. So now I'm just kind of going in and adjusting a little bit of overall lighting. I think that ground plane on the front right especially is just really bright, so I kind of want to darken that up. So I'm just doing a gradient, setting the layer to a multiply, and just kind of making it a little bit dark. So one nice thing in Photoshop is when you have the move tool selected, if you right click and whatever your mouse is over, it will tell you all the different layers that are under it, and then you can quickly kind of go to the layer that you want to, instead of fishing through all your layers over in the control panel there. So here I'm just punching out the rim lighting a little bit, especially since it has that kind of dark background over there. Just want to pop it out. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting some text on here. One way to really make any type of design seem more realistic, seem like it's actually built, whatever, is to put text on it. It makes it human. It makes it seem like it's constructed. So I like to pick a nice kind of blocky font, one that will show up as text when it's real small, and just type whatever gibberish seems like it might be futuristic or military, whatever. So here I'm just setting it to overlay. I'm going to put this up on that chest plate. Then you can adjust type layers. You can adjust type layers with Control T also. You don't have quite the same level of adjustment as just a regular layer where you painted on it, but you can always merge the type layer down to another layer if you want to move individual points to deform it or to use warp or something like that. So you can play with different types of blending techniques for the layers, if it's screen or overlay, so that your text will look nice on top of whatever the background is. So I'm just copying the text, just moving it around, playing with the design some. I think that looks better there. So you want to have warnings and different stuff like that. Again, you don't want to go overboard, but this is just a way to make this thing look like it's actually built by humans, so it's not some alien thing. So since I'm doing this, I might as well put my name on it. If I put some, this way I don't have to actually sign the image or anything. This is a Nizzi bot. So once you merge down your text, you kind of lock it in place. You can go ahead and use dodge and burn, or sometimes just erase parts away if you want it to look scratched, or but you want it to match the lighting. You don't want it to be all flat. And before you can go in and use dodge and burn on something, you got to make sure it's not totally white, because it's not gonna It's not going to work then. So here I'm just moving things around. I want to make it work with the perspective. All this stuff, you know, the details that you paint on top can really ruin your perspective. So now I'm just going in on and adding some, you know, details, some kind of outline shapes around certain things. A lot of times on, you know, airplanes or things like that, you know, around certain vent openings, whatever, they'll have a little red or yellow or whatever kind of highlight shape around it. So just kind of doing a similar thing on this guy. Little warning triangles, maybe there's text underneath there. Some little text beneath Nizzi. It's my name, that's my address and social security number, credit card numbers. So just kind of playing, add some little details around here. So just duplicating it and then erasing parts of it so it looks like it's unique text. Darkening it up some, adding some kind of graphical elements to it, darkening it up to match the lighting. It's kind of got some warning stripe thing, so I'm just going to copy this and pull it back over here. So this guy's starting to come along. Just darkening it up to match the lighting again. A lot of times it's nice on these kind of detail layers where you have these you know, accent markings, whatever, when you can really push the contrast of the lighting a little bit, so it'll make it seem like the decals have like kind of an extra level of glossiness compared to the background. That can work pretty nice. But then a lot of times with colors too, like this yellow, if you're gonna use dodge and burn, whatever, you also have to, it changes the contrast. I'm sorry, it changes the saturation. So a lot of times you have to go back in and desaturate it. But that's pretty easy to do. So you can see how when it gets dark it kind of gets more red. And a little bit of that is natural. But so again, it's nice to have a variety of different shapes. So you can just draw these things on here. And just darken it up here. Changing it up. Darkened. So it looks alright. Again, just adjusting it so it matches the perspective, then making sure it matches the lighting. But it's definitely getting there. Decals and the text, I think, always add a lot. Let's make it seem a lot more interesting. Here, I'm just kind of going back in and refining a little bit of the eye glow. This guy's looking pretty good. So I guess I decided to sign it again. Whenever you sign something, you don't want to be too. You don't want to draw too much attention to your signature, but you don't want to hide it too much either. So here I went ahead and just flattened the whole image. I just want to play with brightness and contrast to see if it will help or not. Sometimes, it can help to really bring things out, sometimes not. So I'll just resave it out as another iteration of the file. So the last thing I'm going to do here is duplicate the layer one more time and add a sharpen filter to it. And that just really helps to bring out the details and just adjust the opacity of that layer. You don't want it to be too sharp. It kind of starts to look a little funky. And then just collapse it down and save it out, and that's going to be the final image. So that wraps it up. I hope you had a good time watching this. Hope you learned something. If you want, you can check out my website at www.joshnizzi.com. And again, thanks for watching.